ICRA stands for Individual Coverage Health Reimbursement Arrangement, and it's really a strategy. It went into effect on January of 2020, and like I said, it's really a benefit strategy that allows employers to reimburse employees for health insurance that they would purchase on their own, rather than offering a traditional health insurance plan. The rule, when it was implemented, was designed to expand health coverage options by allowing employers to reimburse the employees for their health insurance premiums on a tax-free basis. And that was something that was not allowed under the earlier ACA rules for most employers. So the HRA portion, health reimbursement arrangement, that's existed for years. But the ICRA, you add the individual coverage in front of the HRA. That's newer, and it's specifically intended to help employers sponsor benefits and give more flexibility to the employees and employers. Right. In simple terms, the employer sets a budget. The employer decides how much money they want to contribute monthly because they're still making a monthly contribution to the employee premium. So they decide, just as they do on a group plan, they decide how much money they're going to contribute and monthly or annually to the employer's healthcare costs. Then the employee will go with that money and buy their own insurance, or with that money in mind, right? They'll go and buy their own insurance. They'll go to their marketplace, um, either a private marketplace or their state or federal marketplace, and buy individual coverage that meets their needs. And then the employer reimburses the employee. The employee will submit proof that they have purchased that insurance, and then the employer will reimburse them tax-free up to the limit that they set in their budget. And pretty much that's how an HRA works, right? With medical expenses, you reimburse them when they give you receipts. Um, there's also ICRA vendors that specialize in this ICRA strategy for employers. So using a vendor, the reimbursement is typically directly paid to the carrier versus the employee paying first and then asking for the reimbursement. The ICRA vendor can set it up so that it acts and looks like an employer group benefits plan that we all know now, and just pay those premium monthly for the employee, and it remains pretty seamless for the employee. But the crux of it is the employee gets reimbursed for their premium up to a certain amount that the employer sets. The advantage to the employee is that they can choose the health insurance plan that works best for their unique needs. Typically, you'll see six or more carriers, more insurers offering plans on both private and public marketplaces. Um, and those carriers will offer a wide range of options in terms of coverage, network, and cost. So that level of diversity allows the individual to find a plan that matches their healthcare requirements and budget versus, just they're having the 1 to 4 plan options, which a traditional group plan offers. And that can limit the employee's choice and flexibility. You only have 1 to 4 plans with this one carrier. On the public marketplace, you have six or more carriers offering 1 to 4 plans. And then, some people need more coverage. They might want a richer benefits plan. Some people don't need that much coverage. So they really get to pick and choose what they want based on where they live and based on what they need. The benefit to the employer is they're still offering a benefit, right? They're still offering a group health benefit to their employees. They're setting a budget, and be able to predict that budget year over year versus the the double-digit increases that they're seeing from carriers. You never know if you're going to get a 9% increase or 15% or 25% increase or more. So they're able to really set their budget in a better way year over year, and still provide that benefit to the employees, still provide a tax benefit to themselves for offering that benefit. Because for the employers, because the reimbursements are made through an ICRA strategy, they are 100% tax deductible as a business expense. which helps with their overall tax liability, just like on a group plan, on a traditional group plan. Plus, they're also reimbursing rather than paying for a group plan. And like I said before, they have more cost control and predictability of what they're going to see year over year. Typically, in the individual market, which is where an ICHRA strategy is driving employees to buy their health insurance, we've seen we've seen rather premium increases anywhere between 5, 6, 7% over the last several years. So it's a pretty steady marketplace where they're not seeing such high increases in premiums. And it's because the risk pool is huge, right? There's millions of people in the individual market, versus maybe your 20 people on your group plan or 100 people on your group plan. So the risk is spread out on the individual market. Therefore, the market appears to be stable over the last, 6, 7, 8 years. For the employees, the reimbursement they receive for the medical expense are also tax-free as long as they're enrolled in a plan that does meet the ACA requirements. And so what the ICRA what the ICRA coverage allows is that premium to be a pre-tax reimbursement, just like on your paycheck, just like a regular traditional plan would meet. It would be a pre-tax deduction. Because not every employee automatically is offered that ICRA strategy solution. It depends on how the employer wants to set up the plan, whether and whether or not the employee chooses their own health insurance. So, so any size group can offer an ICRA. They have the flexibility to designate um, which employees in the group are eligible. What they would do is classify that each group of employee. They might classify a group of employee as full-time employees. They might be part-time employees. They might be seasonal workers, employees in different locations. And then you might class out employees that aren't eligible. Maybe they're just not going to be, they're not full-time employees, nor are they eligible. So they the key with ICRA is that it does allow groups to offer it to part-time employees if they want to offer health insurance to part-time employees. It allows them, rather, really the reimbursement, right? It allows them to offer that reimbursement to seasonal workers, um, where normally they may not have been eligible on a group plan. So basically, they class those people out into different groups of people, and and uh, and then of course class out the ones that just aren't eligible at all. Um, you can offer a group health plan alongside of an ICRA strategy plan, but you cannot, the employees that are in the group plan cannot be offered the ICRA plan. So you may have, full-time salaried employees are offered a group plan, and then you have groups of employees that are offered the ICRA strategy. So it's one or the other. They differ in a few key ways, by offering more flexibility and control. So again, with traditional group health plans, the employer selects a single plan or a limited number of plans for all the eligible employees. So that means less flexibility for the individuals, and then those rising premiums, as I talked about, can be tough for the employers to manage. Where in contrast, the ICRA strategy allows employers to reimburse for that insurance that they choose themselves. So this gives that employee more freedom to pick a plan that fits their personal needs based on things like, their doctors, their coverage levels, their family situation. Um, and then from a cost standpoint, ICRA gives employers more control because they set that defined contribution amount, which helps that budget predictability and comes with the tax advantages. So really, in short, it's more flexible and budget friendly for everybody, versus the traditional group plans, because it offers more centralized control and more personalization for the employee and the employer. You might choose an ICHRA over traditional health plans when you want more cost control or flexibility, or just more simplicity in, offering health benefits instead of trying to manage, that one size fits all for the group. Um, as as I said before, you can set that budget and let the employees choose their own coverage. That alone can help reduce the administrative burden. It can also help attract more of a diverse workforce and with varied needs. So think of a multi-state employer. The benefit of offering ICRA, uh, because you have employees in different locations, they can select plans that are tailored to their region, ensuring they have access to their providers and their networks. That may not be as easy as it is through a traditional group plan. You, as an employee in a different state than your employer, you might be more limited. So really, the group wants to decide, do they want more flexibility and giving more choice and control over their health care? Or do they want to just keep that straight group plan? It's viable for businesses that have experienced double-digit increases in their group health premiums year over year. Those costs have become unpredictable and unsustainable, especially for small groups. So ICRA offers a more budget-friendly, flexible alternative for that instead of, absorbing that rate hike for the one size fits all for everybody. Just having that monthly defined budget for each employee gives the employer that cost control. So if they're looking for ways to manage costs while still being competitive, an ACA compliant ICRA can be a smart, sustainable solution. So we play a key role in making ICRA simple and effective. We've built a really strong partner relationship with a trusted vendor that specializes in administering the ICRA plans, and together we've been providing a seamless end-to-end experience for the employers. Um, we work with the vendor and the group to set up the plan design. We help structure the ICRA based on the employer's workforce needs, budget, and goals. We help the vendor is terrific at employee communication, and we just help facilitate that, ensure that the employees have a clear understanding of how their ICRA plan works, how to choose, how to use the platform that the vendor has. Though the vendor handles the enrollment support, we provide resources and guidance to help with that. So we stay in step with the vendor and the group every step of the way when presenting a plan design for ICRA, implementing the ICRA strategy, and post enrollment of the ICRA strategy to assure that everybody's getting um, that care that they need, that service that they need. And, our goal is just to deliver that streamlined, compliant, and employee-friendly solution.